First Lady Melania Trump addressed recent allegations about her relationship with convicted sex offender Jeffrey Epstein and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell at a rare public statement from the Grand Foyer of the White House. Trump denied having any close association with Epstein or Maxwell, asserting she had no knowledge of Epstein's abusive victims. She stated that she was never involved in any capacity and did not participate in activities like visiting Epstein's private island or being on his aircraft. The First Lady also addressed a photograph showing her alongside President Donald Trump, Epstein, and Maxwell, clarifying it as the only authentic image capturing their presence together, and she dismissed claims based on other images as fake. Department of Justice records reveal an email exchange between Melania Trump and Ghislaine Maxwell. This she downplayed as trivial and unrelated to any substantive relationship with Epstein or Maxwell. When asked about the timing of her statement, no official explanation was provided by the White House or the First Lady's office. Legal disputes between Melania Trump's lawyer and journalist Michael Wolff over reporting on her ties to Epstein are seen as a backdrop for this public denial. A federal judge ruled this week that the Department of Defense is violating an earlier order to restore press access for reporters. The ruling, handed down by U.S. District Judge Paul Friedman, supports the New York Times in their legal battle against new Pentagon credential policies. The court's decision comes after the Pentagon introduced stricter rules requiring journalists to be escorted at all times within the building. Judge Friedman previously found these restrictions unconstitutional on March 20th of this year. In his latest ruling, he emphasized that the department cannot reinstate an unlawful policy under the guise of new action. According to Pentagon spokesperson Sean Parnell, the Defense Department disagrees with the judge's order and intends to appeal. However, Judge Friedman noted that the Pentagon's revised policy does not fully comply with his directives from earlier this year. He stated that recent military operations in Venezuela and Iran underscore the need for public access to information about government activities. The legal battle began last October when reporters protested new Pentagon rules restricting their access to information about military operations. The New York Times filed a lawsuit against the Pentagon shortly thereafter, arguing that the policy violates First Amendment rights. With this latest ruling, Judge Friedman underscores the importance of press freedom in ensuring public oversight of government actions during times of national security. The case highlights ongoing tensions between the Pentagon and journalists over access to information crucial for reporting on military operations. The EPA has proposed easing rules for the disposal of toxic coal ash, potentially undermining groundwater protection. This move could allow states and companies more flexibility in managing coal ash sites, but environmental groups warn it may open the door to contamination risks. Under previous regulations tightened during the Biden era, stricter standards were set to address heavy metal pollution from coal waste. The new proposal would ease monitoring and cleanup requirements at some facilities, a shift towards deregulation under current policies reflecting efforts to reduce regulatory burdens on the coal industry. Nick Torrey, an attorney with the Southern Environmental Law Center, stated that opening the door to leaving ash in groundwater undermines one of the central protections of this rule. This proposed change is part of broader initiatives aimed at accommodating unique circumstances at specific facilities and promoting American energy dominance. Local activists are concerned about the potential for contamination near sites like Michigan City Generating Station by Lake Michigan. This previously had set deadlines for cleanup under stricter rules. The EPA's proposal would eliminate such standards, raising concerns among environmental advocates over public health risks. White House staff were recently instructed to avoid using non-public information for betting on prediction markets like Kalshi and Polymarket. This warning came a day after President Donald Trump announced a 5-day pause in threats towards Iran. This raises concerns about potential insider trading. Congressman Richie Torres has called for an investigation into suspicious trades in these markets. This highlights growing regulatory scrutiny over the ethics of such platforms. The congressman's letter to the Commodity Futures Trading Commission underscores the need to regulate prediction markets more strictly, especially those related to war or military actions. Prediction markets have grown significantly in popularity over the past year. This allows users to bet on a variety of outcomes, including political events and economic forecasts. However, incidents like the January incident involving a large payout for predicting Nicolás Maduro's capture have raised ethical concerns about insider trading within these platforms. With Congressman Torres's call for stricter regulations, the debate around prediction market ethics and regulation in government circles is likely to intensify. This includes potential legislation to ban war-related bets on these markets, aiming to prevent exploitation of non-public information for financial gain. As regulatory bodies continue to review the implications of such trading activities, the future of prediction markets remains uncertain, with both legal and ethical challenges ahead. Russian President Vladimir Putin has announced a 32-hour ceasefire for the Orthodox Easter weekend, set to begin at 4 p.m. Saturday and end Sunday evening. This move comes after Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky had earlier proposed a pause in targeting energy infrastructure over the holiday period. The unilateral ceasefire by Russia is part of an ongoing effort to reduce hostilities during religious observances. However, previous truces have been largely ineffective, with both sides accusing each other of violations. This latest announcement follows similar short-term ceasefires declared last year and the year before, none of which led to a lasting reduction in fighting. The Orthodox Easter ceasefire is seen as another attempt to ease tensions amid ongoing conflict between Russia and Ukraine. U.S.-mediated peace talks have made little progress, focusing instead on temporary truces rather than broader agreements for peace. With no immediate reaction from Kyiv, the effectiveness of Putin's latest declaration remains uncertain. The challenge now lies in maintaining calm over Easter while both sides prepare to counter any potential provocations or aggressive actions during this brief period of respite. The Justice Department is investigating the National Football League for potential anti-competitive practices, according to an anonymous government official. This scrutiny follows concerns over high costs fans incur to watch sports on television and subscription streaming services. Utah Senator Mike Lee has urged federal agencies to review the NFL's media distribution methods, questioning their alignment with modern consumer rights. The senator wrote letters to the Justice Department and Federal Trade Commission last month, pushing for a closer look at whether these practices comply with existing antitrust laws. The Sports Broadcasting Act of 1961 grants limited antitrust immunity to sports leagues but applies only to broadcast television. This exemption has been under scrutiny as live sports content shifts increasingly to streaming platforms and cable networks. NFL games are still widely available on traditional broadcast channels, with over 87% of all games shown on TV in their local markets. However, the increasing costs for accessing these broadcasts via various media platforms have raised concerns among both consumers and lawmakers about potential anti-competitive practices by sports leagues like the NFL. The investigation into the NFL's distribution methods will determine whether current broadcasting models align with modern consumer needs and legal standards. This probe is part of a broader trend of increased federal oversight in how major sports leagues manage their broadcast rights and fan accessibility. Israel has agreed to direct negotiations with Lebanon as the country continues to face a wave of strikes that have caused significant civilian casualties. The latest attacks, which struck Beirut on April 9, 2026, left over 300 people dead and more than 1,000 injured. The ongoing violence is complicating diplomatic efforts between the U.S. and Iran to reach a lasting truce. American and Iranian diplomats are scheduled to meet in Pakistan this weekend to address long-standing tensions, but face substantial obstacles due to lack of trust and unresolved demands. President Donald Trump has vowed that U.S. military support will continue until a real agreement is reached, expressing strong commitment to the conflict resolution process. The president's statement highlights the current fragility of peace negotiations amid escalating hostilities and heavy civilian casualties. As rescue operations continue in Beirut following the latest round of attacks, there are growing concerns about further escalation of the conflict. Lebanon's Prime Minister Nawaf Salam is expected to file a complaint with the UN Security Council regarding Israel's actions. This underscores international legal implications involving potential breaches of humanitarian law. The scheduled negotiations between Israel and Lebanon and Washington, D.C., aimed at disarmament of Hezbollah and sustainable peace, mark a critical step towards resolving the ongoing crisis, but come with significant challenges ahead. NASA officials are expressing high confidence today ahead of the reentry of the Artemis Roman 2 astronauts, expected Friday evening. The Orion capsule will return from its journey around the moon at speeds nearing 24,000 miles per hour off the coast of San Diego. Artemis Roman 2 is a significant milestone as it marks the first crewed flight test of the Orion spacecraft and the Space Launch System rocket. Successful reentry tomorrow will confirm that all systems are functioning correctly for future lunar missions. NASA released new photos showing astronauts hard at work during their journey, highlighting the mission's importance in advancing space exploration capabilities. As final preparations continue, NASA is emphasizing its high level of preparedness to ensure a safe return for the Artemis Roman 2 crew. Democrats in Congress failed to limit President Trump's war powers in Iran when they returned from recess. Republicans blocked a resolution aimed at curbing the president's authority, highlighting political tensions over his approach. The dispute reflects broader concerns about the rhetoric surrounding U.S.-Iran relations. Some Republican senators criticized the president's inflammatory statements. This includes Senator Lisa Murkowski, who called them an affront to American ideals spanning 250 years. Democrats plan to push for a symbolic vote on ending military action in Iran and are considering impeachment efforts. However, these moves face significant hurdles given the current political landscape. As Congress grapples with Trump's Iran strategy, it remains unclear whether bipartisan support can be garnered to address the growing concerns over executive actions and national security rhetoric. Anthropic has initiated a limited testing phase for its new AI model called Mythos, raising concerns over potential security risks. The company warns that the powerful capabilities of Mythos could pose significant threats if released publicly. Mythos is currently being tested by more than 40 tech firms, including competitors like Microsoft and Nvidia. This controlled access aims to identify vulnerabilities and strengthen cybersecurity measures. Meanwhile, Anthropic's cautious approach seeks to mitigate risks. There are ongoing debates about whether broader public access might ultimately enhance overall cyber defenses against future threats. As AI capabilities advance, the balance between innovation and security remains a critical consideration for tech companies and regulatory bodies alike. Ukraine's military is grappling with a surge in desertions as the war against Russia drags into its fifth year. Estimates suggest up to 150,000 service members may have deserted since 2024. Soldiers cite long deployments without rotation and orders perceived as suicidal missions as key reasons for their departure. Forced mobilization has also pushed men off streets directly into frontline units, leading to resentment among troops. This issue highlights leadership failures and systemic challenges within the Ukrainian military command structure. Desertions could undermine combat readiness and morale, further complicating defense strategies against Russian forces. Nevada's largest utility, NV Energy, warns that proposed data centers could triple the state's electricity demand. This surge is likely to require additional fossil fuels to meet the need for power. Lawmakers are now grappling with how to balance economic benefits against environmental concerns. The rapid growth of data center proposals in Nevada underscores a broader trend across multiple states, including North Carolina. These utilities are reassessing their clean energy goals due to increased demand from these facilities. In Nevada alone, there's significant tension between the economic gains from low taxes and favorable business conditions for tech companies and the state's commitment to achieve 50% renewable power by 2030. Utilities nationwide face a similar challenge in adapting their infrastructure while aiming to meet long-term clean energy mandates. As this issue unfolds, lawmakers are considering stricter regulations and debating ways to integrate economic growth with environmental sustainability. The future of states' ability to balance these conflicting priorities remains unresolved as negotiations continue. The United States experienced its hottest March on record, with temperatures 9.35 degrees Fahrenheit above the long-term average. More than 19,800 daily and over 2,000 monthly heat records were broken last month alone. February saw temperatures 6.57 degrees Fahrenheit above normal, ranking it as one of the warmest months ever recorded. Meteorologists predict a super strong El Niño event later this year, potentially pushing global temperatures to new highs by late 2026. Scientists like Jonathan Overpeck from the University of Michigan suggest that a warming world is making El Niños stronger. However, more research is needed to confirm this link. This unprecedented heat highlights the ongoing impact of climate change and underscores the need for continued monitoring and adaptation strategies as these trends persist and intensify. Finland is on the brink of history as it prepares to open Onkalo, a groundbreaking facility designed for permanent storage of spent nuclear fuel. Located in Olkiluoto Island off Finland's west coast, this project aims to provide a long-term solution to safely manage hazardous radioactive waste. The repository has been under construction since 2004 and is now set to become operational within the coming months. Built into ancient bedrock, it offers an exceptionally stable environment for storing approximately 6,500 tons of spent nuclear fuel in copper canisters buried deep underground. Posiva, the company responsible for Finland's spent nuclear fuels, has invested around €1 billion, $1.20 billion to ensure that this facility meets stringent safety and stability standards over geological timescales. The repository's design addresses a pressing global issue. Most spent nuclear fuel remains in temporary storage sites worldwide. While Onkalo represents a significant advancement in nuclear waste management, concerns persist about the long-term reliability of deep underground disposal methods. Edwin Lyman from the Union of Concerned Scientists highlights uncertainties regarding the durability of the copper canisters over hundreds of thousands of years and the potential risks associated with future access to stored materials. As Finland leads the way, other countries are also considering similar solutions for managing spent nuclear fuel responsibly. This underscores Onkalo's importance in shaping global environmental policy.